another detail right before myself giving birth. So while I was in the jail, I did receive priority over the bottom bunk, and an extra glass of milk. And at lunchtime, I believe there was an extra apple. And that extra apple meant a lot to me because I was very hungry. And so, and I guess the calcium component with the milk. And so I was not incarcerated when I gave birth, but when I did, my daughter was immediately removed from my care and put in state custody. I had no idea. Like, for some reason I felt that I was going to be able to walk out of there with my daughter. I didn't know anything about the child welfare system or anything, but, you know, I had a meth addiction. I could not come over my daughter tested. It was like 0.001. It was a very small number of meth, but it was in her bloodstream, and that's another story about the guilt I can use to beat myself up with it for using during my pregnancy. But so I actually gave birth premature. She was almost 2 months premature, and was in the incubator, and I was so messed up, and I had a 7-year sentence that was over my head, and the social worker that came to the hospital said, well, you cannot have your child, like, you need to deal with these issues that you have. You are facing 7 years. I'm not going to call the cops on you, but you need to take care of this. So your daughter will be removed into foster care. And after that, when I was released, I was able to, I actually made it to the hospital one time to see her. And she was so fragile. And I was so paranoid that the cops would be there. And I left. And was arrested almost a month later, but in that period of time, that was the darkest place I've ever been. And I remember I was trying not to steal a car, but I would just walk around because I was trying not to commit some crimes because I didn't want to be arrested, but just thinking about my baby, and this life, and I had no support. And so when I was arrested, I was actually extremely relieved, and I remember being in, I'm like, okay, let's do this. And for the first time in my life, I've always believed in God, but never really walked a path of righteousness. And I just got on my hands and my knees and I prayed for whatever His purpose was for me, and not for freedom, which I had prayed for every other time, but for His purpose. And the door of opportunity just began opening. I was blessed with an opportunity for treatment instead of going to prison. And if we rewind in that time frame, while I was sitting in the jail awaiting a 7-year sentence, knowing I had my daughter in a CPS case, I was trying very hard to make it to those hearings. I knew that I must have been having court dates. I sent in a total of 70 kites to the sergeants saying, hey, listen, I have this baby, I need to show up, I don't want to lose rights, like, please let me show up for my child. I had no money, so there's the phone barrier. And I remember talking to the guards, like begging, like, how can I, like, talk to an attorney? There must be an attorney for me over here, or a social worker or somebody. And so I'm really passionate about trying to help incarcerated parents navigate their child welfare system. That's our mission for our program right now, because I know firsthand how powerless you feel, and certain services that I knew about. I didn't know that there was a jail treatment or a drug treatment program, but I think they wouldn't have sent me anyways because of my trial, or, you know, my sentencing stuff. But so I made it to all the church things and the AAs and the NAs, and that helped keep me better in my mind, trying to keep my mind on there's something better in this life than what's going on here. And my CASA, the court-appointed special advocate, my daughter's CASA, is the one person who came in and visited me while I was incarcerated and put a picture up of my daughter and said, like, this is what you have on the other side. And it inspired me to change my thinking and start trying to believe in myself and just praying for what my life was going to be like. And the judge in my daughter's case said, hey, how come she's not here in court? And this really happens. How come she's not here? She needs to be here. Who's the attorney in a hallway? Appoint them, as her attorney. And she needs to be transported. And so I was court ordered to come to my daughter's CPS case and was able to say at the table, hey, guess what? I'm not going away for 7 years. I have an opportunity for treatment, and please give me the opportunity. Don't terminate my rights. And I'm very grateful in every piece of my being for that moment, because not every family gets that, because it's this revolving door within the system. And so I went to treatment, and when I got out, my daughter was 11 months old, and I was afraid she wouldn't know me, and she held out her arms and smiled, and I knew it was like at that moment, like there was no turning back. And I navigated 3 different court systems, DOSA, my Drug Alternative Sentencing Act, Drug Offender Sentencing Alternative, and Municipal Probation, and Department of Corrections, and probably 20-hour services for CPS a week. And just every piece of being I had put into a negative life, I put into something positive. And I was really proud of the work, spoke up for the things I needed, the PTSD, the trauma, got assistance, and I found out on my birthday, March 26, 2009, that they were going to reunify me and they were going to work towards reunification. So my daughter was in my home full time, and well, actually at my mom's house, but I got housing through, I was part of a case management program for women trying to re-enter back into society through the YWCA's Passage Point program, which helped save my life, because they helped teach me how to, be a case manager of my own life, and like how do we budget, and how can we talk appropriately and express our needs and parent. And I got a lot of amazing services through that program. So my daughter and I now do have our own place, thank you Jesus. But at the time, if I didn't have my mom, my daughter would have lingered in foster care, because I didn't have available housing at the time. So that's an issue I'm very passionate about putting out. But fortunately, I was at my mom's. So my case has been dismissed since November, November 31st of 2010. I might have gotten the dates wrong. I was out November 2009. So my case was fully dismissed in November 2010. Yep. Whatever that 2009 thing I said March of, I think that was March of 2010 when she was back in my home. So I just want to make sure I get the dates right. But from the day as I was had my baby in my arms forever, I was walking out of the court, and I called my boss, Kimberly Mays, my now boss, and because she had been seeing me within the system, and I just felt I have a purpose to be able to be there for other parents who are navigating the system, and to let them know no matter what we're looking at, we can change and we can overcome the barriers and our parenting lifestyle deficiencies that brought us into the system, and have been working for the program, King County Superior Court's Parent-to-Parent program, since December 1st of 2010. And I was made lead of the program in 4 months. I'm a full-time straight-A student. I just graduated with my A in Social and Human Services, and now I'm working on my BA in Applied Behavioral Science with my goal of a master's in Public Administration, so I can help families at the macro level. Part of numerous committees, co-chair for King County's Reunification Day for a couple of years with Commissioner Hillman. I'm the co-chair for the Parent-to-Parent Stakeholder Advisory Committee. I'm on the advisory board of Incarcerated Mothers Advocacy Project, a parent leader in the King County Parent Advocacy Committee, helping start this program in 3 other counties, and was recognized as a national hero for the work I do in child welfare and reunification. And so that's my running community groups for single moms through my church, and I'm just very passionate about trying to express that despite tragedy, people can change and families can reunite.